Hey there, superstars. Yes, we are live with the one, the only Les Brown. Get your questions in the comments. We're taking them live with Les Brown right now. So let's get started.
You hear first from Ty Lopez. This is Manny Lopez. No, we're not related. Brother from another mother.
Hey, Manny, they leaving the money out. What are they doing? You guys that are orphans and you want to get your money right so that you can be a CEO.
You have something special. You have greatness in you. And Manny's a great leader and a very good friend of mine. And I'm looking forward to our sharing the stage together. Manny, it's time.
It's time. Always remember that you are too blessed to be stressed.
Thanks, Manny. Be great.
You know, we travel around the world and we go to these entrepreneur events, and hundreds of them that we've been to, hundreds of them that we've been on their stage, and they're all about selling. They're all about making money. They're all about collecting fame, blowing up on social media. But the reason why we wanted to take this one, we were trying to do anything in our power to make this happen, to get this event, is because of that word right
Serve.
there. And that's serve. So let's give it up for Manny and the entire team
All right there, superstars. Are you hungry? Because I am hungry for some knowledge today. And we've got the king of making you not as hungry as you used to after you've had a session with this man. The one, the only Les Brown. Welcome to the party.
Thank you so very much. It's a pleasure to be here. You are such an inspiration to me. I believe you're never too old to learn and you're never too young to teach. You're teaching me a lot of things. So thank you so much.
I'm definitely trying to teach somebody how to manage some chaos right now, because we shouldn't even be live on Facebook. But my system that I'm running this networking event at is like, no. More people need to hear this. We're going to get everyone from the event, but more people have to hear this. So it just literally broke my system. It was pretty fun. But we're having a live Q&A. So if you have a question for Les, put it in the comments. We may be bringing you on video. We may be doing a shout out, but we've got some questions. First off is, how do you keep maintaining that awesome hair, man? This is like the third time I've been able to see you with this. It just keeps getting fresher and fresher, man. How are you doing it?
There's a movie years ago called House Party, Kid and Play. I'm Kid. And this is not Corona hairstyle. I'm not coming out the house till 2017. No, 2027.
Oh, there you go. I was like, man, this guy's got a time machine. This is awesome. He's like, I forget 2020. I'm going back.
Yeah, no, really, 2027. Because my barber has not learned to cut my hair at a social distance. So therefore, I said, until you figure that out, I'm not going to get a haircut. If you could be 6 feet away from me and cut my hair, then we got a deal. But I don't want you up close and personal in my space. And he has a tendency to take his mask off and have it below his nose. I said, this doesn't work for me. So stop. I know your breath might be kicking like Bruce Lee, but I don't want you breathing on me through your nose. So we can't do it like this. If you can do it, if you can cut my hair 6 feet away, we got a deal. He hasn't figured out yet.
I have one of those long sticks, like, and then that's going to be all messed up. That's not going to be good. All right, guys. So who's got a question for Les? I want to be able to answer some of these. I'm going to go back into my remote because we had a bunch of questions ready to go. I'm going to take a picture of it. But while I wait for those to come in, I've got a question for you. Let's first give some message to from Orphanage CEO students that are going to see this interview. We want to get them inspired. We want to get them to see that it's possible. Like I was sharing with my group right before we went live, you were the inspiration behind me going into my entrepreneur journey without fear. I looked at you and said, it's possible. I saw you at the Georgia Dome on YouTube, and I'm like, dude, and 80,000 people hearing him speak, and he's got a background like me. He's adopted like me. I mean, like, wow, looking at everything he's gone through, and I was just like checking off all of those things in my own life story. And I'm like, you make it an inspiration to see that's possible. And I was sharing with my group how, that's what we have to be for others. We have to show them that regardless of what we went through, you can still win. You can still do something with your life. What kind of message would you share to our kids like that?
I share with kids and adults that the things that we experience in life, we can decide they're happening to us or they happen for us. And there are things that we experience that we feel that are devastating, but really aren't. And that there's a reason that the Book of Life says, in all things give thanks. Had I not been fired from the job that I had in radio, and oddly enough, I was editorializing against 50 years ago police brutality in Columbus, Ohio. 50 years ago, all right? And that's why I was fired. And now here we are again. But the experience that I had after I was fired, I learned some things. I developed my skills, and I never would have produced specials for public television. I never would have gotten into public speaking and traveled to over 50 countries. I never would have been able to impact millions of people's lives on the planet. I never would have been able to have a nationally syndicated talk show where I was paid $5 million to do it. So the things that we're experiencing, Willie Jolly made a point that I love. He said a setback is a setup for a comeback. We have comeback power. And all the stuff that we're seeing right now, they have not come to stay. They have come to pass. And what we want to do is grow mentally, emotionally, and spiritually in the meantime, so we can come out and express the next greatest version of ourselves.
I love it. I mean, that's the thing that a lot of these kids are missing, is that someone behind them pushing them to say that it's possible, you can do it, here's how to do it. How important is mentorship to these young kids?
Mentorship is extremely important. I am who I am because a gentleman who had a personality very similar to yours, who I was in his class one day, and he asked me to work a problem out, and I told him I couldn't do it. And the other kids knew that I had been labeled educable mentally retarded, and I was in special education. I was put back from the 5th grade to the 4th grade, and I failed to get in the 8th grade. And he said, why can't you do what I'm asking you? I said, I'm not one of your students. And then the other kids started laughing, saying, he's Leslie. He's got a twin brother, Wesley. Wesley's smart. He's DT. And he asked, what's DT? He's the dumb twin. And they laughed. And I said, I am, sir. And he came from behind his desk and he said, don't you ever say that again. Someone's opinion of you does not have to become your reality. And that startled me. How people live their lives is a result of the story they believe about themselves. And so he interrupted my story with that statement. And I followed him. I became one of his mentees, even though he was not my teacher. I followed him everywhere. He was a great speaker. He taught speech and drama, and I wanted to be like him.
Wow. That's what I'm talking about. I mean, the power behind just one message from one person could change your life. I mean, that's, really the simplest way you can kind of look at how mentorship can be, is seeing one instance where everybody else is giving you one result, one response, right? Telling you what's not possible. And then you go around and you get one person that says, someone's opinion of you doesn't have to become your reality. You can be something and you can go do something. And I think if we just can create more of that's definitely going to be a big win for our society. Eve has a question. She says, how do I quantify client results if they are more about confidence first, but may not be long-term evidenced by financial or other tangible kind of gain? So I think the question is, she's a confidence or, kind of confidence coach or consultant. And, how do you kind of quantify that and measure that result?
I don't know how you quantify confidence, because we can't determine and quantify what people are going to do. What we can do is share with them strategies on how they can become more confident to achieve the goals that they want to achieve. And as they begin to upgrade their skill set and being in a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supported relationships, it will impact their bottom line. It will help them to begin to discover things about themselves. But it's not just enough about confidence. It's about acting on what you now believe that you are competent enough to do and moving forward.
I like that. I like that. Great answer. Jay asks, he says, what is the greatest tool we can equip those with who come from hard places, or equip
The
those with?
greatest tool that we can equip people who come from hard places, and that's where Manny and I have come from, is to help us to connect with the truth of who we are. When you are in a culture such as we have, that is designed to destroy your sense of self, that is designed to demonize you and dismiss you and marginalize you. What's very important is that you have people around you and tools that you use to begin to reconnect with the truth of who you are. Ye shall know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And that's why this is Self-Development Month. So self-development, willingness to work on yourself, listening to motivational messages, going to seminars and workshops, investing in yourself so that you can begin to strip away all the things that you've been indoctrinated with, being in a culture that does not recognize your humanity and is stacked against you. I read something the other day, and it was the Federal Reserve said stunningly, a white high school dropout creates 3 times more wealth than a black college graduate who graduates with thousands of dollars in student loans. And so there's built-in systems to keep people of color down. And so in order to get through, as my book says, you got to be hungry. And so, and you are the prototype. You have to be relentless. You have to know your vitamin. You have to find a way to win. And that's what you've done. Your life is a clear example of that. And so the people who read this, they will not put this book down and be the same, because they'll see what it takes to overcome all types of situations. As I talk to you right now, I've been treated by Cancer Centers of America. They said, Mr. Brown, are you aware you've been dealing with 4th stage cancer for several years? I said, yes. And that cancer's metastasized to 7 areas of your body? I said, yes. He said, why are you smiling? I said, 7 is my lucky number. He looked at his nurse and said, he's a strange one. And so that people that are hungry are relentless. They understand that you have to be a perpetual student. This is the era of the 3 C's: accelerated change, overwhelming complexity, and tremendous competition, as Peter Drucker said. And that as we look at 50 million people losing their jobs, another 47 million will lose their jobs from artificial intelligence, that you got to be hungry. So what does that look like? Having a game plan to build mental resilience, number 1. Number 2, having a minimum of 3 core competencies, 3 things that you master. I'm a speaker, I train speakers, and I'm an author. And the third thing is becoming a part of and creating a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supportive relationships. You can't make it by yourself. So when I got stuck, when I was looking at what I wanted to do next, I called you. You're part of my community of achievement-driven relationships, and said, Manny, please help me. This is not my trail. I want to stay on my path, do that which I do well, speak, train, and write. What do I do now? How can I begin to monetize and expand this vision that I have of my business? And so you provided coaching and direction for me to do that. That's the value of having a community of collaborative, achievement-driven, supported relationships, that even though you are apart, the computer eliminates geography. And so we are still together.
I love that. Computer eliminates geography. That's a great way to kind of really simplify the value of how easy it is now to connect, right? Yeah. And really, having that ability to connect with people who have the answers, right? I mean, one of the best things about collaborating with people is to learn where's their genius, right? I came to you being a sponge for knowledge. I'm like, dude, I just want to help and serve and just learn whatever I can from you. And then you're now calling me for advice on certain areas of technology and things like that. And it just becomes really, that circle of value where I think once you understand that everyone has a genius within them, you really easily see the solutions you need. Now, one thing I want to mention, guys, this little scrolling ticker here, text in hungry. If you'd like to ask a question directly to Les Brown and want to get brought in on video, literally, if you text in that keyword right now, you're going to get a link to hop in backstage with us. And I may just bring you in on video to ask a question to Les directly. So do it right now so you get access to this, because you can't get this on the replay, my friends. We are live now, and we only have a couple more minutes with them. So text in, and you're going to get a free gift and learn how you can be coached by the one and only Les Brown. That would be really awesome. How would you like that? Who here is a speaker, right? Who here wants to get on more stages? Who here would love to be say, oh yeah, Les Brown is my speaker coach. How are you going to beat that, my friends? That's the winner right there.
Are you in a rocking chair?
I am in a spinneroonie chair.
Oh, I didn't see you spinning, but you rock a lot. I said, what is he in a rocking chair?
I got to keep it going like in and out. It's the engagement. It's, you got to keep the movement, man.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You are so wonderful. Okay. Do we have any questions?
Oh, we do. Yes. Let's see. Chris Borja asked a question. He says, well, who is someone that made an impact early in your career that to this day may not realize how much they made a difference? Ooh, that's a great question.
I would say Brian Tracy.
Why so?
Because I was reading one day, but I also listened to motivational messages while I'm reading. And I heard him say, the average American reads one book a month. He said, if you look at yourself, knowledge is the new currency. If you make and discipline yourself to read one book, the average American reads one book a year. But if you discipline yourself to read one book a month, in 5 years, when the average American would have read 5 books, you'd have read 60 books, that will make you an expert. So I decided to do that. I disciplined myself to read 3 books a month. And so if you hear me speak, I can spew motivational messages and quotes out of my ears because I drilled myself to do that all those years. I had no idea that would drive my income from working and earning $55,000 a year to earning $70,000 in an hour speaking in the United States, $225,000 speaking outside of the United States for 1 hour. There are a lot of people who don't earn $225,000 in a month or 2 months. And so the value of that, of my disciplining myself to find one area that I would be an expert in, that I would master, that was a dramatic impact on my life. And I'm working with him, and every time I try and get to tell him that, someone interrupts us. And I said, Brian, listen, I got something I want to share with you. And he's spending time talking to me about impact I've made on him. And I'm trying to get in a word sideways. Hey, you made an impact on me. We're doing a series together, a 6-week series. He's a very good friend. Brian Tracy is brilliant.
Awesome answer, man. That's what it's about, man. That when you can learn from the people you're also inspiring and getting inspired by, it's just a great win-win. Melody asks, she goes, what are the 4 top skills that a speaker needs to reach their audience? Also, would love for you to be on my podcast. No podcast ask people. All right. So what would be the 4 tips that you would give for speakers to reach their audience?
I'm going to give you 3 tips. And the reason I'll give you 3 tips, if you master these 3 things, that will bring the rest of it together. What gave me an advantage in the speaking industry, it was based upon giving information. They govern themselves by the philosophy of the Dale Carnegie course, which is a good course. They teach, tell them what you're going to tell them, tell them, and then tell them what you told them. So here's lesson number one. Mike Williams, my mentor of 51 years, he wrote the book called The Road to Your Best Stuff. The Road to Your Best Stuff. He said, Brownie, never let what you want to say get in the way of what your clients wants to hear. Conduct communications intelligence. So that's number one. Conduct communications intelligence. Find out what your audience want to hear. Don't assume that you know it. Tell them what you're going to tell them, and then tell them what you told them. Lesson number two, and this is something that gave me a competitive advantage. The industry has been based upon giving information. If information could change people, everybody would be skinny, rich, and happy. I advance with my story. I'm training speakers now, and I teach them how to tell a story that will create an experience with an audience. Oliver Wendell Holmes says that once a man or woman's mind has been expanded with an idea, concept, or experience, it can never be satisfied to going back to where it was. A story has a human face, and it touches the heart. It expands the mind and ignites the spirit. The next thing that's very important, and that's number three, and that is creating an experience. When you find out what they're looking for. Two, you use your story to organize a presentation that will transform the audience individually and collectively. You create an experience. Attention is the new currency. How to draw attention to yourself, how to hold the attention with the experience that you create, and how to direct the attention. And so when you are able to create an experience that touch people at the core, an experience that jar them, and whoa, they begin to look at their lives with an expanded vision and with new eyes, that will give you the ability to impact audiences and build your business. Why? Because when people listen to you with your story, they're asking three questions. Who are you? What do you have? And why should I care? Everything depends upon the story. You look at politics. I used to be a state legislator. It's determined by the story you tell about yourself and the story you tell about your opponent. The story your opponent tells about you and the story they tell about themselves. So whoever is most effective in delivering that story, that will be the one who will win. I won 3 elections, hands down, beat a 22-year incumbent because I knew how to tell a story about myself and about him. And I got 26,000 votes to his 3, running for the 29th House District in Columbus, Ohio. No political experience, no money, but I can tell a story. I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two.
I love it. All right, so we've got some people backstage now that have texted in and got into the backstage. So let's bring in some of these to ask some questions. Fred Pacimo, come on down. Welcome to the party.
I call him Flash.
He's Mr. Flash.
Yes, he's the man. Let the record show. What's happening, Flash?
What's going on? 2 of my favorite people here. I love hanging out with you guys.
Thank you.
I feel like we're like 3 best friends at this point.
Yes, indeed. You are absolutely right.
I love it. So I kind of wanted to look a little bit past what we've been talking about so far, which is kind of after you create your signature talk, how do we actually look into getting on stages? So like I have a list of over 1,000 speaking bureaus, and I'm curious, like, do I want to align with one that's really good for me, or should I have multiple? Like, how does that actually look like at that phase?
Well, we have a platform to help you deal with that. I'm launching this weekend a summit where I have 20 speakers, and then I'm going to be doing several others, and you're going to be a part of that. Speaking bureaus that most people don't know, they do not market you. They don't market new speakers. They market celebrities, people that are already known. So the reason that I've created the Les Brown Speaking Summit is so that you can be seen by meeting planners. So I have marketed to meeting planners from around the world to watch and to see these 20 speakers that I'm showcasing. And I'll be doing this on a regular basis. And that way you are able to be seen by people who will book you. And the good thing is by now, because of the virtual presentations, I spoke today in Germany, yesterday in Germany, and I'll be speaking to 50,000 people in Germany next week, and Morocco, and London, and Paris. So the thing is that we now, with the virtual training and speaking, we can help launch your career in a faster mode than it took me years to do, because the technology didn't exist. So that's why I'm having these current events, these summits, to leverage my name and reputation to expose you to my audience so they can see you and say, whoa, that's Fred. Wow. That's the guy that Les Brown called Flash. He gets things done. He's a bad dude. Recommendation.
I want to know why.
Endorsements.
Not today.
It gives you credibility, and it helps you to gain audience. I wish I could have gotten here faster if the guys at the top did not see me as competition. So they wouldn't endorse me. If you look at any of my books, the only speaker ever endorsed one of my books has been Brian Tracy. None of the others ever, because they just saw me as stealing audience from them. But I will endorse the speakers that I train. I do that. I'm one of the few people who train and endorse the people that they train.
Nice.
Cool.
Great question. Awesome question. All right, let's bring in another star. Oh, Flash is gone in the flash. Oh, man, we couldn't get him. All right, let's bring in our next one waiting in line here. We got Robert McFadden. Come on down. Welcome to the party. You're on live with Les Brown.
Wow, I feel so privileged. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Robert.
So, Les, I have a question for you. I'm big on mentors, and I'm big on proximity to people that elevate you. You know, people always talk about you surround yourself with people that are more financially wealthy than you, and ultimately you're going to become more wealthy. But I believe that extends to spirituality. You surround yourself with more spiritual people, you're going to become more spiritual, right? It's in all aspects of our lives. I would like to know who's the single person who has singularly impacted your life more than anybody else, outside of your mother, because of course that's the right answer.
I'm glad you asked that question. Mike Williams, without question.
Mike Williams.
He wrote the book called The Road to Your Best Stuff. He was my newsman when I was a disc jockey and the program director, WVKO radio station. And one day I was walking down the hall, and I just came from a motivational event. He said, Brownie, he said, do you know why you go see Zig Ziglar and Dr. Norman Vincent Peale and Tony Robbins and all those guys? I said, yes, because I like their message. He said, no, not just that. He said, that's in you. That's what you do. You're always motivating and inspiring us around here. And you got a funny laugh. You love to help people, man. When somebody's down, they say, let's talk to him. He said, you should be doing this. I said, man, I don't have a college education. I never worked for a major corporation. He said, Brownie, all of us are born the same way. Dumb, naked, and speechless. You can learn. I said, well, you're a great speaker. I said, will you teach me? He said, if you're willing to put your money where your mouth is, absolutely. I said, okay, I'll do it. I'm in. And so it was the best investment I ever made. And from that time to this time, I had a PBS special, several PBS specials, 8, and earned millions of dollars and raised millions of dollars for them. I had a talk show that they paid me $5 million to do by King World. I spoke to over 80,000 people in the Georgia Dome, over 51 countries. It's been an incredible journey. A mentor can take you to a place within yourself that you can't go by yourself. He's a person of integrity. I'm a better father because of him. I'm a better person because of him. He has literally been the father that I never had. And his example, his integrity, his commitment. And And he's just a good person, good heart. And so it's just been a great relationship. And we're only 2 years apart. Wow. Yes. So I'm so glad you asked that question. Mike Williams, The Road to Your Best Stuff. His book will lead you there. And I encourage you to get the audio version so you can hear his voice.
Okay. Great question, Robert. Great question.
Thank you.
All right, bro. Let's get one more question in. Let's go ahead and pick one of the ladies. We had two fellas here. So let's pick a lady here. Let's bring in Christine McKay. I love the hair. We got two awesome. We got award-winning hair right here. We got classic house party hair right here. However way I'm pointing at. And we got a nice little unicorn rainbow over here. So
there you go.
Awesome. Welcome to the party.
Hello. Thank you very much. Thank you, Manny. Thank you, Les, for being here. So, Les, as somebody who's starting out in public speaking, doing speaking and selling from stage and doing motivational speaking, what's one lesson that you learned on your road that you want every one of the rest of us to know before we do that?
It's both, and it's a combination of three things. One, be the message that you bring. Live an achievement-driven life, because we're encouraging people to live an achievement-driven life. We tell people, practice what you preach. Preach what you practice. Okay, that's number one. And number two, find someone who's doing what you want to do at the level you like to do it, and have a relationship with them. We are empowered by the people that we are connected to versus the people that we're divided from. And three, never be satisfied with yourself. It was Abraham Lincoln. He said, if I had 6 hours to cut a tree down, I'll spend 4 hours sharpening my axe. Every day, I'm looking for ways to improve my skills as a speaker. I told a friend of mine named Sandra Williams last night, I said, Sandra, I haven't made the impact that I want to make. And she said, what more do you want to do? You are a legend. People know you around the world. I said, but I'm not just satisfied with where I am. I said, once I stop reading and studying, once I stop practicing and pushing myself and stretching myself, there's somebody somewhere, they're doing that. And I can hear their footsteps. And so when I go, I told my kids, don't let them embalm me right away. Wait 3 days and come down to the morgue and put a microphone in my hand. If I don't grab it and say, you got to be hungry. Dad is gone. You put a microphone there, I'm going to speak my way out of here. I'll be speaking on the other side immediately. And I love your hair. You're so beautiful. And
thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Great question. Great question. All right. That was a fun little session we had there, Les. I like that. That was fun. Now, those that are watching right now, if we have a free gift for you, just go ahead and text in the keyword hungry to this phone number right here. You see it scrolling there at the bottom of your screen. That is going to give you a free gift and a chance to win $1,000 in Manny Bucks. I'm going to select the winner and announce them after this event. So get connected, my friends. What is one thing you want to leave our audience with, Les?
When you tell a story about something you have overcome, it will become the guide. It will become the blueprint for millions of people to inspire themselves to say, if he could do it or if she can do it, I can do it too. And I'm going to follow their directions. That's the power of story. Because it gives people hope and a blueprint of what they can do to make it through the storms of life. The book of life says, think it not strange that you face the fiery furnaces of this world. You will, not you might, you will have tribulations. And so having a blueprint, somebody like Manny. I mean, here we are, we both adopted. And so overcoming that, how many people, what percentage of people on death row were adopted, Manny, or foster kids?
In California, it was 90% of the death row inmates were coming from foster care. It was like an epidemic. I mean, it's 2 out of 3 kids that are aging out or ending up dead, homeless, or in jail. 60% of the sex trafficking victims are coming from foster care. I mean, this is an epidemic that no one's truly putting a big spotlight on as much as it should be. And this is what I truly hope that we can do together, is just help more.
I want to do it together because I have a curriculum and I'm getting a facility in Atlanta and I want to train them and I want us to do it together. So I think that what we're doing, when people who decide that they're going to use their story, use their voice to live a life that will outlive them, to build a legacy. God said to Abraham, I'll make you a great man. He didn't say, he said, I'll make your name great. He didn't say, I'll make you a great man. I'll make your name great. Why? Because our name means something. I want to leave a good name for my children and for my grandchildren. I have 15 grandchildren. I have 4 great-grandsons. So at 75, I'm looking at the reality that I have more yesterdays than tomorrows. And so my goal is to train other speakers. This will be my legacy. We should think in terms of legacy. If the coronavirus hasn't done anything else, it's taught us that life is fragile. There's no duplicate. And we must live each day as if it were our last, because one day it will be.
Man, I couldn't have said it better, man. You definitely are an inspiration. Every chance that we can get to have you in, you always say yes. There's even times where you call me and I'm like, Manny, just add me in. I love it. So, I mean, you're just a blessing every chance we can get to have you in our community. Do not forget to text in the word hungry. If you want to be hungry, you want to get out of that hunger of desperation, of getting results, work with people that are already getting the results you want, my friends. It's really that simple. So learn from us. We've got tons of resources, tons of free gifts. And always remember, you are too blessed to be stressed. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.